Abraham. Abraham was in Noah, he was in Enoch, he was in Methuselah, he was in Seth, and he was also in Adam, coming in as a seed of the woman. Genesis 11 from verse number 10, going downwards. I'll pick a bit of it and we jump some sections there. The Bible says, this is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and he begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. We move down, we see that there comes in, after Arphaxad, there comes in Selah. That's verse number 13. And from Selah we move down to Eber, who the name Hebrews came from. As we look at this, we're trying to identify exactly where Abraham comes to fit into the equation. The moment Abraham fits in, we are also going to fit in. If you look right at the beginning, when Adam came in, and Adam, after Abel was killed by Cain, Seth came in as the first child to replace Abel. And he was there for 105 years. And after 105 years, he fathered Eve for 65 years. Unlike the other ones, of course, Mahalalel did 65 also. The others had something like 162 years before they have the first child, which means in the current generation, almost all of us were going to die without a child, because these people were living up to 100 and something years for them to have the first child. After the 160 something years, they had the first child. Enoch also tried 65 years as a man without a child. After 65 years, he was really old, then he had the first son. After Enoch, remember Enoch walked with God. And because he walked with God, he had something of God that was in him that made him walk with God. And that thing also was transferred to his son Methuselah. Methuselah stayed for 187 years without a child until you got the first child as Lamech. If you look at Methuselah, you look at Enoch. Methuselah had a chance to stay and hear from the feet of Seth. Seth, the child of Adam, which means the history of the Israelites was alive in Enoch and also in Methuselah. And because Methuselah lived for a long time, he took the history of Adam that he got from Seth. Because Seth was sitting and hearing straight from Adam. Adam gave him information of what it was to be with God in the garden, what it was to hear from God. So the same information Methuselah, as he was sitting with his grandfather, great-grandfather, Seth, he got all the information. Remember, information was moving through oral tradition. No books were written. So Methuselah kept the history for us. And because he kept the history for us, the Bible says Methuselah, the same year the flood started, Methuselah died. And when the flood started, Noah was alive, but his son Shem was already 100 years old. 100 years old, which means Shem, the one who comes after Noah, had the chance to listen to Methuselah. And Methuselah got the information from Seth. Seth got information from Adam. So if you look at Shem, the one who comes after Noah, Shem has got correct information. And these people were living among the people who were disobeying God. People who were Nimrod, who were building Babel. They were alive during that time. So Shem, one of the great-grandfathers of Abraham, was listening the information from Methuselah. Methuselah, who died the same year the flood started. Methuselah, who saw Enoch going to heaven, who was taken up into heaven. And Methuselah had a chance to sit with Seth. And also, Methuselah had a chance to train Noah. Because Noah, when he was building the ark, Methuselah was alive, seeing his great son, because Noah was the great son of Methuselah. He saw the great son building the ark. So the information was intact. There were no mistakes about it, because there was an overlap of generations. And that overlap of generation managed to sustain our information, the information we're getting now. So if you look now at Shem, let's move down to verse number 10. The Bible says, this is now the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and he begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Which means Arphaxad comes in also, his life is overlapping with the one of Noah. After he begot Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and begot sons and daughters. I like the gap that was there. I don't know why the gap was there, but I like it anyway. To say the firstborn son was born within 100 years, while the other sons and daughters came after 500 years. That would look like a great-grandfather, yet it was a son within the father's house. Arphaxad lived 35 years only, and he begot Salah. And after he begot Salah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters.